Hey everyone, this is Jamie Leha, and ahead of this weekend's Victoria Marie online crop, I thought I'd do a quick video to share how I prep for a crop. So I've just started doing this. This isn't how I've done every single crop I've ever attended, but it seems to be working. It's getting me really excited for these online crops, and I've been really productive. So for me, it starts with a theme or actually, let me back up and say that Victoria Marie has 4 retreats that have been scheduled from the months of September through December. And Victoria released the dates for those. And essentially, I think they're the first weekend of every month, which has been fantastic. I love having them at the beginning of the month versus the end of the month. And what I ended up doing when I saw the dates that were released and the various themes that are associated with each of those crops, I went through my list of projects that I wanted to start or projects that needed to be finished and just kind of figured out which 2 I would work on each crop. So for September, I decided that I wanted to focus on 2. I attended in 2017 the Scrap Gals Retreat in Nashville. So that was October of 2017. So I think that's kind of falls into the fall autumn realm. So I figured I could work on it in this September crop because the theme of this crop is fall. And then also in the fall, later this month in September is my birthday. And so last year I had a Stranger Things themed birthday party for my 35th birthday. And so I figured I would work on those 2 projects because they've been on my list for a while and they fit in with the theme of the crop. So what I do is I pull all the photos that I think that I'm going to use for each of those projects and put them in a folder in my Dropbox. So I have everything stored in very specific ways. So I have a folder in my Dropbox that's for 2020 scrapbook. And that's for anything that I plan to make in 2020, not necessarily that the events happened in 2020. Then I have folders that show the layouts that I want to make, the mini books, the traveler's notebook pages, the planner pages, the pocket pages, and then just a couple general projects. Like so in here is One Little Word and Week in the Life. But in my mini book folder, I have several mini books that I want to focus on, and they include my 35th birthday, which was the Stranger Things themed party, and also I have a running Scrap Meets, is what I call Scrap Meets project, where I just document all of the events that I attend related to the scrapbooking industry. So definitely going to a crop retreat falls under that category. And so I have a folder for all of those photos. And what I started with were a folder just full of photos. You know, I copied these from my photo archive, so these are not the originals, and dropped them into this folder. And then I went through and organized them and separated them into the various spreads that I intend on putting into this smaller scrapbook, mini book binder. So I used the Life documented albums from Citrus Twist Kits, and I have 4 of them actually, and I think by the time I'm finished scrapbooking all of the various scrap meets that I've attended in the past few years, those 4 are going to be completely full. At the moment 2 are full, so I have intended to include the Scrap Gals Retreat there. So let me just go through here to show that I knew I was going to have a title page. So on the title page, I dropped into here a photo of the group that we took all together, and then also a photo of me and Tiffany, one of the Scrap Gals. So I'm going to include those 2 photos on the title. And at this point, I don't know what these pages are going to look like or anything like that. I'm just organizing them so I know what photos I want to include and which spreads to include them in. And these photos aren't edited or anything like that. So you see this one still is at a 72 by 72 resolution, you know, which they need to be at a 300 by 300 PPI resolution in order to for them to print well. So not edited in any way, shape, or form. So I have title. We did a Nashville walking tour, so I pulled photos for that. That I wanted to include. We have the ladies that I sat at a table with for that event. I have just 2 photos of all of us kind of around the table, and I called it the best table because we did have a really great time. I really loved just sitting with these ladies. I have a page to highlight the crafting that I did. I worked a lot in traveler's notebooks. At this event, we made a group page, which was Leah, who you see in this photo. So it's her idea, her genius idea. So she actually went to Walgreens and had the group photo printed, and then she started a layout. She went into her stash of products, started a layout, and then we passed the layout around the table, and all of us added something to it, which was a really fun idea. And so at each iteration, there's a little bit more added to it. And so it was like the group page, it was a progressive page. We just had a lot of fun putting it all together. Jen was the last one to touch it. This is Jen Scow. And then we have a couple of group photos of us with the layout. Tracy, I met Tracy Fox for the first time ever in life, and she's amazing. She's my scrappy bestie, so I definitely wanted to highlight, the fact that we met and just got to hang out and all of that great stuff in this album. I want to do a page about Scrappers and Scraps Inside Calamity. It's a game that Tracy invented, and it's based on Cards Against Humanity, but all of the individual cards are scrapbook themed, so it's really fun to play with a group of scrapbookers because we get all of the references and we find the things funny. So that was one thing that I definitely wanted to highlight. And then this last page is just a kind of funny one for me. So there was fall decor around the conference room or auditorium or ballroom, whatever you want to call this, at the hotel that we were all sat in. And Tracy and Tiffany had brought some fall stuff in from home. And one of them had brought in this little scarecrow girl. I don't know, she's kind of creepy, man. And she just stared at me the entire event because, like, I was just right there. And every time I'd look up, I'd see her and she was looking at me. So I'm doing a funny, punny play on her in my scrapbook. I'm excited to actually get that done. So this is how I start the process. So I've got my photos, I've sectioned them off into the various pages that I think that I'm going to make, and then in this next section you'll see what I do from there. Okay, so you just saw how I organized my photos on my computer ahead of printing them. And so they were in their individual pages. What I then do is look at the images that I have and kind of pay attention to the orientation, if they're horizontal or vertical photos. And I make little sketches to kind of indicate how I want to make the page so that I know like what sizes the photos need to be. So I just start from the beginning. That first folder had the title images in it that I wanted to use. So it was the group photo that we took, and then there's also a photo of me and Tiffany, one of the Scrap Gals. And so I just kind of sketched it out like that. I know that I know what size all of these pages are going to be because they have to fit within that Life Crafted Citrus Twist album. I decided at the beginning that I wanted to do all of these out of page protectors. So they're going to be the size of what the page protector would, what that measures. So all of the pages are going to be 5 by 8 1/4. And so that also helps me know what sizes I need to print the photos at. So I did that for each of the pages, and these are just really rough sketches. There's not a lot of details or anything like that. And some of them, as you can see, have changed since I originally started sketching these. So step 1 is getting all of the photos together, organizing them into rough pages, and then step 2/3 is sketching them out so that I know what sizes I'm going to want to print them at. And then so after that, I would go in and edit, amping up the brightness, bringing down any noise, and then definitely sizing them to the rough sizes that I would need to print them out. So I didn't save or video that part of it. It's just editing photos and then printing them out. And then once that is done, I will show you next what I do. So then the next step that I do in the process is, like I said, I print the photos and then I go through my stash and figure out what papers and embellishments I'm planning to use. So for this one, I am planning to use this crepe paper. It's kind of a greenish color background and as the background page. And then utilize a little bit of this kind of, I'm more interested in the purple in this and how they coordinate together. And then I also plan to use this really cute little crate rainbow that they've pretty much just released. And it's mainly because my lovely friend was wearing pink pants right at the front, and I thought that that would be a cute addition to it. So that next step is pulling all of the paper and the embellishments that I'm planning to use. And then the last step is, well, not the last step, but the next step after that is then figuring out if I want to do any die cutting. And I sat down and did all the die cutting in one go so that that would be done. And it was all ready to go. So that is for the title page. These are in kind of no particular order, but I pulled products for everything. So this is for that group page that we're planning to do. I actually have the pattern paper that Leah had used to start us off. Actually, I have both of those pattern papers. And so I'm planning to use it for this. I don't really have embellishments pulled just yet because this is going to be mainly, this is more of a photo heavy spread. So probably not a lot of embellishments included there. Then this is what I'm planning to use for the page about me and Tracy. And since her last name is Fox, I pulled out some cute Fox things. I pulled stuff for the crafting part of it, and I make sure to look at the die cuts, the digital cuts that I have in my stash on my computer to make sure I'm utilizing them. So I think this is a Just Nick die cut, Let's Get Crafty, that I cut for this page, and here's some of the embellishments I'm planning to use there. These are the things that I'm planning to use for the best table page. So printed these photos. I really want to use, this is the background paper, add a little bit of this in. Here's the photo. I die cut the title. And then I threw in a couple of fall themed stamp sets that I have. Just because I figured I'd probably utilize them there. We did the Nashville walking tour with Tiffany, and so here's all the photos, and this is the color scheme I'm planning to use, and I have a few alphas pulled that I would use. And then the last one is this silly page that I'm wanting to do about that scarecrow, and I have this Halloween paper that says eek 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 all over it, and I actually die cut some eek 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 letters out of orange cardstock to utilize there. So this is the next step in the process. It's pulling together like little page kits for these. If I was actually going to a different location, I would probably fill this with more embellishments, but I have like what I need to get started, and then I can just walk to my various bins and organizational things to get the extra embellishments that I need. But since this is an online crop and I will be home participating, I don't really have to do that. But it's nice that I have this little bin. It's a tray, like a serving tray, and it sits on my desk, so I have all of this ready to go. And come this evening and tomorrow, I'll just be able to start grabbing pages and cranking them out. And the last step that I do, which is probably not in the best order, is the journaling. So you'll see that next. Last thing I do, which I know shouldn't be the last thing I do, but I'm being real with you guys, because this is literally how I do it, is I do my journaling. And I usually just start a Google Doc and type out all the journaling that I think that I want to include. So since we're looking at the Scrap Gals, I went ahead and typed my journaling directly into Google Docs. And since I knew like the various pages that I was going to have, it was easy to divide these up. And then I title them so I know which pages get which journaling. And then I also make a note to myself to indicate how I want to add the journaling. So on the Nashville walking tour, I wanted to have it directly printed onto the background. So that means I have to pre-prepare, right? Before I can start gluing photos or paper down, I need to make sure that I've printed my journaling directly onto the background page, and then I can go from there. And then I'm making decisions on whether or not I want to handwrite journaling or want to create journaling strips, and that kind of thing. So this is all of the journaling that I have. And then I also made a note of what silhouette cuts I want to include as well for titles and things. And then what I might have or need to design in InDesign or Illustrator alongside those themes or the various journaling. So specifically, like when I want to print directly to the background paper, I need to design that and make sure that it's done. And you saw me unhighlight certain things, but basically what I end up doing is once I've created this in InDesign or Illustrator or wherever I was needing to design it in, I highlight it in black so that I know that it's done and I don't have to think anything more about it. I did the Tracy journaling, so that's done. I did several of the silhouette cuts, and then after the fact thought maybe I needed to do crossbones, and then all of this InDesign Illustrator work was completed. So let me actually open that up so you can see. I designed, this is how I want the journaling to be for the page about meeting Tracy. So I made the, in concordance with the sketches that I put together, I knew that I wanted a really big title that said Meeting Tracy, and that I wanted 2 columns of journaling. So that's how I designed it. So here's the enlarged lettering for Meeting Tracy, and then here's the 2 columns of journaling text. And then I left a spot here in the middle because I know I want to add some kind of embellishment here. So I also designed a little seal that I wanted to include on the title page that had the dates and where the location of where this took place in Nashville, Tennessee. So I designed that in Illustrator, and I'm going to print it out and punch it to include on my scrapbook page. So this is the last step that I do. It's getting all the journaling ready to go. And once that is completed, and you know, some of it is the case that I probably will do them, I will do the journaling as I'm making the pages. So I have the journaling already written out in my Google Doc. So when it comes time and I've put together my page and I need to add the words, well then I'll just come back to this file and handwrite in what I wanted to say on each page. Or I'll print out some journaling strips, cut those up, and add them to the page as I'm working on it. So the only bit of work that I have to do is printing the direct to background journaling onto the Nashville Walking Tour page. And because of how I've designed that, I need to cut the paper first before figuring out where it's going to go. And so I figured I would do that during the crop because that's actually me making the pages. And I have the flexibility to do that because, again, this is an online crop and I'm sitting at home in front of my computer and my printer and I have all my embellishments and everything I might possibly need. And so I'll just make all of those calls and I will do all of that work as I'm putting the pages together. And essentially, that is how I go about creating kits and putting things together ahead of a crop. This is the first month that I've tried it and I've so enjoyed it. I did the exact same process to the Stranger Things 35th birthday. Let's see. The Stranger Things 35th birthday mini book that I'm planning to do. So all of that is printed, and the next steps are for me to just assemble. So I've printed all of the photos and I have pulled embellishments and I have my journaling typed out, but I have to print some of it. So that's the next part. So here's my journaling. I have this ready to go, not a lot of journaling, and I have the PDF ready for printing. So I will just be able to print and get on my way. And I'm super excited about both of these projects. And I'm ready to get going and start this weekend strong and have an amazing time. And thanks so much to Victoria for providing this forum and these events. If you are thinking about joining, I really encourage you to join. Go to Victoria Marie Designs Instagram and you can find information about the crop there. But I'm just really excited, and I've been looking, this has been helping me get so excited about the crop and looking forward to the crop, and I'm ready. Let's get this thing going.